Have you ever trusted someone you have never met? Maybe it was a voice on the radio, a name on a cookbook, or a signature at the bottom of a letter that felt warm, reassuring, and oddly personal. For millions of Americans, that person was Betty Crocker. She was often called America's First Lady of Food, a woman who seemed to exist in kitchens across the country, guiding, teaching, and comforting. Her recipes worked, her advice felt reliable, and her presence felt real. But here's the truth. Betty Crocker was never a real person. How did this fictional homemaker become one of the most powerful and trusted figures in American history? In this video series, we will explore the creation of the Betty Crocker brand, the motivations behind inventing this fictional persona, the innovative marketing strategies that brought her to life, the cultural impact of those efforts, and the status of the Betty Crocker brand today. Welcome to Betty Crocker, the brand origins. The story begins in 1921, inside the Washburn-Crosby Company, a flour milling business based in Minneapolis. This company would later become part of General Mills. The idea was conceived in the company's advertising department, led by advertising executive Samuel Gale, in response to a unique marketing situation. In late 1921, Washburn-Crosby ran a gold medal flour contest in the Saturday Evening Post, where readers could complete a jigsaw puzzle and mail it in for a prize, a flour bag pincushion. The promotion was wildly successful. About 30,000 completed puzzles poured in, along with hundreds of letters from home bakers asking for cooking advice. Gale and his team recognized they had an opportunity and a problem. They wanted to respond to these customer inquiries with helpful, personalized advice, but needed a consistent and approachable voice to do so, leading to the birth of our protagonist. In the early 1920s, most home cooks were women, and it was believed those homemakers would trust baking advice more if it came from a friendly female expert, and not a corporation. However, there was no single real employee who could personally answer tens of thousands of queries. The solution was to invent a fictitious persona that multiple staff could share and who would sign all the reply letters with expert tips. The name Betty Crocker was carefully chosen. Crocker honored William G. Crocker, a recently retired company director, lending a sense of realism, while Betty was picked for its friendly, cheerful sound. Once the concept was approved by management, the company took careful steps to make Betty Crocker feel real. Behind the scenes, Washburn-Crosby's home service department, a team of all-female home economists, was doing the actual work. They wrote the replies, tested the recipes, and answered the questions. But to the outside world, every single response came from one person, Betty Crocker. This ensured that the voice always felt consistent, warm, and personal. To make her feel even more authentic, the company went a step further. They held an informal contest among female employees to create Betty Crocker's signature. The winning entry, written by Florence, became her official handwriting. It was then taught to every woman who responded to letters, so that no matter who was writing, it always looked like Betty. And every letter ended the same way, with a simple, polite sign-off. Cordially yours, Betty Crocker. Betty Crocker is a textbook example of a broader marketing principle known as brand personification. It is when a company gives its brand human characteristics, like a name, voice, personality, and identity, so that customers can relate to it as they would to a real person. Instead of interacting with a faceless organization, people feel like they are engaging with someone familiar, trustworthy, and approachable. This emotional connection makes the brand more memorable and builds long-term trust and loyalty. Samuel Gale applied this principle very effectively by creating Betty Crocker as a fictional homemaker who represented the company. In addition to building trust and long-term connection, this persona helped the brand in several other ways. The persona allowed the brand to carefully control its image. Unlike a real spokesperson, Betty Crocker could be shaped exactly the way the company wanted: wise, patient, and reassuring, without the risk of inconsistency or personal controversy. She could evolve with time, but always remain aligned with the brand's values. This made her a stable, long-term asset in building brand recognition and credibility. Importantly, Betty Crocker was positioned as a source of genuine help, not just promotion. Under her name, the company provided useful advice, standardized recipes, and better baking techniques. This educational approach made the brand feel like a service rather than an advertisement. Customers experienced real improvements in their cooking, which reinforced their trust in both the advice and the products being used. As a result, the brand was not just selling flour, it was selling confidence and reliability. In a crowded market, this differentiation mattered. While competitors focused on product features, Betty Crocker focused on the customer's experience. By combining emotional connection, consistent communication, and practical value, the persona helped transform Washburn Crosby Company from a commodity seller into a trusted household name. This trust drove repeat purchases, strengthened brand loyalty, and ultimately played a significant role in increasing sales over time. And that is where we pause the story for today. In the next part, we will see how Betty Crocker moved beyond letters into radio, into homes across America, and eventually into becoming one of the most recognized faces in the country. If you found this story interesting, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next part.